Yo, good morning. Actually, it's about 1 o'clock now, but got up this morning, did a little bit of video editing for some YouTube videos that I've got coming up. But yo, I don't know if you guys have heard of them or if you've tried them, but the soft drink bubbly, I'm obsessed. So I'm literally on my way to the store to get some bubbly. When I'm working, I like to either coffee, water, but the bubblies are GOAT, so I'll take you guys along this journey to grab some bubbly. So I haven't tried every flavor yet, but I've tried a few. I feel like the original is lime. So I've had lime, I've had cherry, I've had grapefruit, and the most recent one I just had was blackberry. And blackberry was whack. I thought that cherry was gonna taste like cherry cough medicine, but it turns out blackberry tastes almost identical to grape cough medicine, and it's disgusting. So I went with cherry because it's right now I'm claiming it as the goat flavor. Okay, so here's a goal that I'm putting it out into the universe, is that let's get Undress the Jersey sponsored by Bubbly. That'd be elite. It just takes the fruition or the law of attraction or just putting it out there. Let's make it happen. Yo, everyone watching this right now, tag Bubbly. So we need a sponsorship. We need a sponsorship. Oh yeah, cherry's the goat. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of UndressTheStories. As you can see, I'm in a different location. I've kind of set up a little desk and office in the bedroom. Something I'm really trying to do is structure a week as if this was a full-time job in terms of content creating, stories, video editing, thoughts, video calls, all that kind of stuff. So let me know what you think of the new landscape. This is going to be the first episode that I'm filming in this room, so we'll see how it looks, and we'll go from there. But I just really wanted to thank you for coming and tuning in for another episode. There's a few stories here that I think you're really going to like, so let's jump right into it. So the first story today is from Jessie McCann, who's a former hockey player for St. Thomas University. I stopped playing hockey for 5 years before I started to play university hockey. People think that's insane, how I just stepped back into a high caliber level of hockey after having been on the ice maybe a handful of times in 5 years. I'm 25 now, and when I look back, I don't regret stepping away for those 5 years. I needed the separation. I was becoming too much of a hockey player and less of a person. And what I mean by that is people were remembering me as the hockey player and not as Jessie the person. There's so much more to people than the sport they play. I'm a sister, a daughter, an aunt, a best friend, and a soon-to-be wife, and so much more. Hockey is just something I do and love, and at the end of my hockey career, I wanted to make sure I knew who Jessie the human was, and not just be the hockey player. I absolutely love this story because I think it provides a greater lesson that doesn't get talked about a lot in sport, and I'll tell you why. In basketball, there's a saying called ball is life, and what it means is that you're dedicated to working hard and grinding, and you just play, and work and shoot, and you're just always training, and it just shows a certain level of commitment and discipline and Ball is life. But now when I hear ball is life, I don't think I agree with that saying. Nothing should be life. Life needs to be a balance of multiple things, and you shouldn't just be pouring your energy into one thing. Now, I think this is what Jessie talks about, is that she recognized that she was going down a path where hockey was everything, and it was getting to a point where people only saw her as a hockey player. She took some time to separate herself from the sport because she knew that there was more to life than just hockey. Now, this isn't to say that sports suck and you shouldn't be obsessed with them or pour your energy into sports, because I think sports are great, and all of the different themes and topics that I've talked about in these videos are larger than sport life lessons. With this being said, I think it's important that you step back and ask yourself, what is sports providing you and what's the purpose behind it? I believe that sports should be used as a tool. Unless you're the 1% who is going to continue on and go to the NHL or the WNBA or the CFL or make a career out of sports. Sorry, but the hard truth is not everyone is good enough or able to be a professional athlete. So I think there comes a point in time where you need to sit back and ask yourself, what am I getting from sports? And if sport is affecting other areas of your life negatively, that's when you need to see the red flag. For Jessie, she wanted to make a point that people were remembering her as the hockey player and not Jessie the person. Because as she mentioned, she's a sister, a daughter, an aunt, a best friend, a soon-to-be wife. So to all the athletes out there, take a second, ask yourself, what is sports providing you and how is it making you a better person? Let's hop right into the next one. So this next story is from Frise, who's a swimmer for Mount Allison University. A lot like other student athletes, I started swimming competitively from a young age of 7. With my father being a New Brunswick record holder in the sport, and my older sister being the first of us to join and carry on the tradition of the sport in our family, I was introduced to the sport and lifestyle of competitive swimming. Through the years, swimming became my life. Spending 2 to 4 hours a day in the pool and numerous weekends away from home competing, this introduced me to what I thought at the time was a tiring, antisocial, and unimpressive lifestyle. Entering my final year of high school, swimming and I had a love-hate relationship. I loved the athletic build and the idea of upholding the family tradition of the sport, but I was more concerned with my social life at the time. I was blinded by this and felt as though swimming lacked the qualities of a true sport, like many of my classmates often expressed to me. After high school, I was accepted into Mount Allison University, where I decided to try out for the varsity swim team, following in the footsteps of my older sister. While at first I was still on the fence about whether I would actually carry out the full 4 years of grueling practices and meets and balance school and social life, the life of the varsity team introduced me to a whole new world of competitive swimming. I soon began to realize the values and lessons that came with the sport and fell in love all over again. Finishing my 3rd year at Mount A and having set all new personal records for myself going into my 4th and final year, I'm able to realize that swimming is a real sport. It has taught me perseverance, self-discipline, and humbleness. There is more to life than a social life. Your team is your family. Do what makes you happy. Going into my final year of varsity swimming, I could not be more excited to be reunited with my teammates, set and accomplish greater goals for myself, and finish my 15-year swimming career not only thankful for the love, support, and several pushes from my mom, dad, and sister along the way, but with immense gratitude to this sport for all it has taught me and shaped me to be. So I swear I'm not making this stuff up, but the fact that we just went from Jessie's story to Annie's stories, one played off the other. And the way I've been doing these episodes is that I've just been going in chronological order as to how I've posted on the page. But even for me, it's interesting to see how these are all related and connected in some way. I wanted to touch on a few things that Annie said. In high school, she started to see swimming and sport in general as a tiring, antisocial lifestyle. It was unimpressive. It lacked all the qualities of a true sport, that some people would argue that swimming isn't like a team sport like basketball or hockey or in whatever. But something that sticks out to me in the story is the 5 lessons that Annie learned from sport. So 1, swimming is a real sport. There's no doubt that swimming holds all the qualities of a traditional sport. 2, this is what I'm talking about when you step back and ask yourself, what are you learning from sport other than putting a ball in a net or running or swimming a faster time? What are the qualities that you're going to be able to carry on throughout life? 3, there is more to life than a social life. I see where Annie's coming from. She was struggling with the fact that swimming was taking away from social life in high school. And yes, social life is very important. And as human beings, you need to have friends and family and whatever. But again, you need to be involved with things that are going to help you grow first, which is eventually going to trickle down into your social circles and make you a better person altogether. Number 4, she says your team is your family, which is beyond true. These are the people that you're spending the most time with, day in and day out, going through experiences together, hard practices, sprints, workouts, and you're encouraging each other. Your team creates a special bond with each other that is different from just Jenny or Jacob in your math class that you're sharing notes with. Yeah, sports provide such a family environment. And number 5, which I love, do what makes you happy. As soon as your sport starts to affect other areas of your life and is creating unhappiness, that's when you need to take a step back and ask if this is what you really want to do. Again, it just comes back to the idea that what value are you getting out of whatever it is you're doing, sports, school, your job, your career, your friends. If it's not providing value to you, I think that's where you need to take a step back and ask yourself, why am I doing this? So let's get into the last one. So our last story today is from Jakob Loucks, who's a football player from Allison University. I was always an undersized player, and as a quarterback, it tends to be a problem. I remember times where coaches tried to change my position due to my size, and even had coaches blatantly say it to my face that I wasn't big enough. Using it as motivation to prove people wrong, I quickly became discouraged as I wasn't being noticed by schools. In the 10th grade, I received a scholarship to play football at Niagara Football Academy. For the first time in my life, I believed I wasn't too small. Fast forward to junior year of high school, I had a prolific career with a scholarship at Canisius High School in Buffalo, New York. We ended 8-2 that season with a Monsignor Martin Championship and went 11-0 with the New York State Championship in my senior year. But after only receiving partial scholarship stateside, I returned home and relied on club football to showcase my talent to get exposure to Canadian universities. 4 games in, I broke my ankle, and all the schools that I had been in contact with lost all interest. I contemplated not pursuing my dreams of playing university level football, but one school took a chance on me, Allison University. Despite never seeing me play and not knowing if I'd ever fully recover from my injury, they still wanted me. I'm grateful they did, and I'm happy to contribute to the success of this school and their football program. Mount A has done a lot for me by helping me financially, giving me an opportunity to start as a freshman, and most importantly, letting me prove to myself that I wasn't too small to play at this level. I wouldn't have been able to accomplish all the things I did last season if they had never taken a chance on an undersized, barely recruited quarterback from Cornwall, Ontario. So here's another story that involves an athlete being injured. And this is where sports kind of scares me. Luckily, I've never experienced an injury before, but as an athlete, you work so hard day in and day out for years on end with a goal in mind, whether that's to play university, pro, make a roster, get off the bench, get on the, just something. You have a goal in mind, you're working, and then all of a sudden, that can be taken away from you through an injury. By me not going through an experience like that, but having the opportunity to hear stories, an injury is something that, from what I've heard, is one of the most self-deflating things that can happen to an athlete, because you are completely and utterly out of control. I think that takes a certain level of mental strength to even get through that and get back to it. So something else that Jakob shared is that he was always perceived as an undersized football player. And you hear this a lot in sports, that some people are overlooked because they're smaller or not as strong or not as fast, because at the end of the day, size and strength, especially in a sport like football, can be an advantage. But it always fascinates me to hear the stories of those who are doubted, because I'm going to try to argue that in itself is an advantage to those players, because it gives them a chip on the shoulder. It gives them a certain amount of fire and motivation to prove those people wrong, and it may help them work harder. It may help them not give up. It's almost like the underdog stories where people don't expect that person to succeed. That's something that fascinates me, is the ability for someone to take all that hate and doubt and then use it to their advantage to propel them to work harder and prove people wrong. So Jakob, thanks for sharing. That's an incredible story, and I know he's had a lot of success at Mount A. So that does it for another episode of Undress the Stories. As always, I'm incredibly grateful for you guys to tune in and make it this far through the episodes. It would mean a lot if you left me comments letting me know how the episodes are going and what I can improve on, what you think I should add, whether they're too long, too short. Like, just let me know. It's only going to help me get better and make these more entertaining for you too. So once again, shout out to Bubbly for getting me through these episodes. We're not sponsored by them yet. Bubbly, if you're seeing this, send me some cases. I'll hook it up. But seriously guys, thank you so much for all the support. For those of you who haven't, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on any new episodes. And I'm Tristan, and I'm signing out. Peace.